Greetings to you to the other side of the screen, I'm Matti Mali, aka Hedonistic Actor, and welcome to the first episode of a brand new series, Mystery Gamebox! In this review series I talk about video games in completely random order from my collection, and those of you who saw my announcement video, or just read the title of this video, know that my first pick was The Elder Scrolls 4: The Knights of the Nine. Well, it would be rather silly to start talking about such an influential series from the fourth entry's first expansion pack, so not completely random, but you need some order in midst of chaos, right? So let us start our journey to the ruthless land of Tamriel in the Elder Scrolls Arena.
The first entry to Bethesda Softworks open-world role-playing saga was released in 1994, and while it wasn't the first of its kind, it certainly was a grand technical achievement. Almost the whole game world is randomly generated, and its size is claimed to be 6 million square kilometers. To put that in perspective, Australia is about 7.5 million square kilometers.
The video game is often credited to be the brainchild of three people. The lead designer Vijay Laxman, also known for the Terminator games 2099 and Rampage, designer and possibly the writer Ted Peterson, who also worked for Bethesda's Terminator titles and this game's sequel, and main programmer Julian Lefebvre, also known for pretty much the same. Indeed, unlike many other video game review shows, I also spotlight the creative individuals. So, to all developers who may in the future get a sudden burst in popularity, you're welcome.
Our story begins in the year 389 of the Third Era, when Imperial battle-mage Yagar Tharn imprisons the rightful ruler, Emperor Uriel Septim VII, in another dimension by using Staff of Chaos, and pretends to be him in order to do evil, I guess. His apprentice Rhea Silmain does the classical mistake of informing the bad guys he's going to tell about this naughty thing to the Elder Council, and yeah, that didn't go well for her. Not all hope is lost, however, as she informs the imprisoned player character in ghost form that they can kick Yagarn to Tarnation if they manage to get Staff of Chaos that are split to 8 pieces and hidden all across Tamriel. Also, as a side note, don't mind about the frame rate counter, it won't be there for long.
First things first, we need to create the main character, who in the manual is named Talon, but I decided to give him something much cooler. So meet Grilling-Tor, a spell sword hailing from the province of High Rock. His class I chose because I wanted to experience both the fighting and spellcasting abilities at the same time, and his race Bretons I chose because of their high magic resistance. After that is done, it's time to experience the first dungeon, which many people think to be hard for some reason.
Sure, it can feel imposing as all the dungeons create fantastic pressing atmosphere of dreading darkness and freaky monster noises. Here are some tips you can make it as painless as possible. 1. And I can't emphasize this enough, read the manual. It tells all the button commands so you can access all important commands quickly and don't get killed by the first rat because you get wondering why clicking left mouse button didn't do anything. 2. When you get out of your cell, look to your left. There! A weapon and armory ready for use! 3. Pay attention to the directions Rhea gives to you. Yeah, they're not exactly that simple, but by following them you'll find the exit with relative ease. And lastly 4. Don't linger in the prison for too long. The manual recommends you to get to level 3 and that's a good place to bail out, otherwise the monsters will get harder. And after answering to a copyright protection question, you'll be teleported to the main character's home province. Congratulations!
Now that wasn't so hard, was it? That feeling won't last, but I'll talk about that later.
From here the whole rest of the world opens up and you can either start looking for the first Staff of Chaos piece from Hammerfell or embark on numerous side quests. They are your typical get this item from here, escort this relative there kind of thing, and you have to do a bunch of them if you want to gather levels and cash. Or you can just go wander to the wilderness and see if you have any luck in finding a randomly generated dungeon filled with loot. I do like like this game's presentation. Eric Heberling's score is, while not the greatest in existence, serves its purpose in building the feeling of grand adventure, the character creation music being my favorite. Graphics aren't that detailed, but vibrant colors give it a lot of old school charm.
So, while I was playing Arena, I had this dreading acknowledgement that because of the similarity of the side quest and the simple combat, I would eventually get bored. In the best case scenario, when dealing with concentrated monotony, I could bore myself into this nirvana-like state, which would help me to grind the whole thing into completion. Well, that would require that there would have been at least one or two interesting moments sprinkled here and there to keep my brains awake.
After getting a vision from Rhea and asking around, the MCs eventually led to Queen Blubanka of the city-state Freehard, who is willing to tell the location of the first piece's hiding place Fanglair, in exchange for retrieving important parchment from the fortress Stonekeep where Goldhawk the Dark and his goblin minions reside. It's here where the game reveals how brutally cruel and unfair it is. I first figured that Goldhawk must be holding such an important item with himself, so I only need to find him from some throne room or something. When I reached the south edge of the map, I had went past the leader's bedroom and arrived to some caverns behind them, where I realized that trying to find that menace would take me forever in this huge maze. At that point, I decided to look for Stonekeep's map from the internet.
Here's the kicker though. There is no Goldhawk the Dark. The apartment is hidden in a completely different place west from the entrance. This baffles me, because in the prisons Rhea told the general direction where you need to go. The rest of the dungeon is just extra for those wanting a tad more challenge. Yet, after leaving the prisons, Arena completely abandons this philosophy. Good luck trying to find all that plot-relevant junk without any maps. And besides, the parchment is guarded by ghouls who are fast and hit hard, which brings us to another main gripe. The combat is broken. I think.
In theory, it's a simple ordeal. Keep the rightmost button pressed while moving the mouse to the direction you want your character to swing. I even invented this strategy where you run backwards while swinging wildly, which seemed to work alright. However, when it comes to tougher enemies where I struggle to land a hit, it's never clear why that is. For skeletons, I try to switch to blunt weaponry, but I have no idea did it actually work or was I just lucky that time. Then there are spiders, from I'm not sure are they just tough as nails or too small for my across movement to strike them. Also the handful of times when I tried offensive spells, I had no idea if the monster was immune to it or if there was some kind of invisible wall between us.
Arena started its life as a combat-focused game, and if that had happened, they probably would have had more time to tweak the system into a smoother experience. But as it stands, it's raw chaos. Well, eventually the parchment is returned and the location of the Fanglair is revealed. And
in order to get this game finished before the 3-week deadline I had set for myself, I opened up the maps for all the remaining 16 dungeons, and they all look so huge. Then I read some of the walkthrough and noticed a pattern. Rhea Silmain tells the next stuff of Chaos Beast location, some VIP will tell more details about them in exchange for getting an item from a slightly smaller dungeon, and then the hero goes to the main dungeon, answers some riddles, and receives a stuff piece which after Jagar Tarn's minions ambush them. Rinse and repeat 7 more times. After rushing through those abandoned dwarven mines, getting ready for the hellhounds I knew were waiting behind the last door by activating my steel daikatan of fire resistance, and getting killed few seconds later, I began to wonder, there's probably 40 more hours of this, maybe even more because I have to grind myself to proper levels. Is that really worth going through just for the sake of a review?
The Elder Scrolls Arena taught me an important lesson. It's alright to critique something even if you haven't finished it, just as long as you admit it. So, my opinion is that this video game has aged terribly.
It was like reading a Sumerian tome. First you're intrigued by having something this ancient and exotic looking in your hands, But then you realize that you don't understand the language, some pages have crumbled off, and no one has talked Sumerian in thousands of years, so what's the point anyway? However, if you have grown up with stuff like this or have really patient mind, then the West Sides can offer a decent old school experience. For me though, Arena offered very little in return.
The game was made freeware a while ago, so you can go out and try to succeed in where I failed. I just hope that I managed to complete the first sequel, Daggerfall. Apparently it's swarming with bugs, but the story is more compelling, so I'm cautiously optimistic. However, I'll keep a short break from the world of Tamriel and review something else next time. Until then, thanks for your time.